Well, hi everybody. I'm doing a review on Daredevil uh, fourth season because apparently it is like a follow-on. So, with no further delay, it starts off where you see Matt and Foggy and the gingerbread sort of like finishing a day's work, where they start walking down the street and that talking about like the good old days and how that the cops have been defunded, that there's no cops on the beat no more. So they go to a bar and that, and the bar say, "Oh, this is a bit like with whoever the writers are. They're like writing a lot of talky stuff because there was a lot of talking in the bar." Cut a long story short, Foggy is probably going to get rejected it once again by a woman and that. But before he does get rejected, uh, he gets a call from this dude called Benny who's in trouble. So Matt gets his super hearing and that, and he hears what's happening. So he goes dressed up as Daredevil and that. Now, this bit, when you see it, honestly, it looks really dodgy how he lands, where it just looks like someone's got a Photoshop and they just placed it in there. Well, eh, it wasn't an important scene all that much. So, well, anyway, as Matt's gonna go investigate, see how this Benny is, Bullseye, and that shoots Foggy and that, and he's just about to shoot the gingerbread, but Matt comes in and stops him and that. And a bit of a fight goes on where there's a lot of gas um, clouds because Bullseye chucks a smoke grenade in there. And so, yeah, and then someone shuts the doors to like stop the it, whatever gas it is spreading. And so you got a bit of a fight scene anyway. Well, what you could see of it, it wasn't too bad. Not great though. Nothing great. Nothing that was like as good as what was in the first season. Which my theory on that is they didn't want anyone getting hurt because I think in the last three seasons of Daredevil, some of the stunt dudes got a bit hurt because it was like nearly full on, and so like yeah, they've like yeah said like look we don't want as many injuries probably. Well, anyway, um, outside you see Foggy, he's bleeding out and that, and the gingerbread, she's getting a bit emotional and that, and like Daredevil and Bullseye, they're like fighting in whatever reason. They're going up the stairs and that to the top of the roof. So like bit of a fight. Not too bad here. Not too bad. Not great. Not great as I say, but not too bad. It's what I'd say is the bare minimum you'd expect from a Daredevil like fight scene. As I say, it wasn't out great, but it wasn't too bad sort of thing. And yeah, Daredevil and Bullseye, the fight to like the top of the roof and that, where like Bullseye starts kicking his ass whooped by Daredevil, and uh, Foggy dies, and Daredevil hears that Foggy's dead and that because he's real good hearing, and even if he didn't have real good hearing, the gingerbread starts screaming like real fucking crazy, so he knows, oh yeah, fucking, that's not a good sign. And like then he throws Bullseye off a force. Well, we'd call it 3 floors because we class the ground floor, but in America they'd call it a 4-story build because they class the ground floor as a first floor. And you can see Bullseye, he's about on the 3rd floor, sort of falling down and that. And Daredevil, he's at the top, sort of thing. And you can see just outside of the sort of entrance is where Foggy's bleeding out with a gingerbread, like bawling her eyes out and that. And like, bit of a spoiler, Bullseye survived the fall because, but you don't know. But well, you do know this because you don't know if he's gonna fully survive, but you know he's still alive because he like looks up as he's on the floor, which then he goes into the Daredevil Born Again credits and that, and then 1 year later, sort of thing, yeah, Matt's getting on with his sort of life and he's probably feeling a bit sort of like depressed and that, but yeah, he's still trying to figure out like what what to do and that. Now he ain't got his mate Foggy, and you see Fisk and all the Kingpin, but I'll refer to him as Fisk because he's not called Kingpin. He doesn't want to be called Kingpin because he's running for mayor and that. But you see, oh, a bit of a spoiler. But then you see like his wife at a meeting where she's like taking over the business and that, and so she sort of like sorts out a bit of a sort of disgruntled argument that could have got a bit nasty, but she's there to like sort it all out and make everyone sort of like work together in that. Where then Fisk enters and that, and the 5 families that she was sort of like um, helping do their deals and all that, leaving that because they're like, oh yeah, Mr. Fisk is in, so yeah, we have to leave and that. Let Mr. and Mrs. Fisk have a talk and that, where he talks about how she's done good on the business and that, and he loves her and that, and then he says he's got, well, I'm paraphrasing this because as I say, bit of a like talky sort of like, oh yeah, oh, because this won't be a long video because we won't that much action. So spoilers, because yeah, spoilers. That was the action at the beginning, but anyway, so he says that he's got like 25,000 signatures, and spoilers, it's for mayor, so he can run for mayor of New York. Well, then Matt, he talks to the new Foggy. I'm going to call her Foggy 2 because she's like Matt's like new partner now and that. And she was also fucking the bed that Foggy was trying to chat up before he got like shot by Bullseye. Well, anyway, um, he's talking to her and that, and he's saying that yeah, he's ready to go to court sort of thing, because you see where he's at court and he's doing a sort of like character reference for Foggy and that, sort of like telling the jury and judge and that how good of a friend he was and that. Well, the gingerbread walks in, and that halfway through, and he's not like too shocked, so because he's blind and that's. But obviously, Matt has his like daredevil sort of like eyesight, and so yeah, he probably wouldn't know it was there in that. So well, he like sort of talks and that says how good of a friend he was, and then the judge sort of sentences um, Bullseye to life, sort of thing. Uh, no parole, neither. Don't look like anyway because he was showing no remorse. Well, then this is like another talky shit. Um, Matt and the gingerbread have a talk and cut a long talk short. Um, Matt says he's not going to be Daredevil no more because he's sort of giving up the vigilante sort of stuff after Foggy got shot. Yeah, and then it goes to sort of like where Matt's at home, sort of thing, and he's listening to the TV, and he's hearing that like Fisk is gonna be running for New York mayor, and that, and so he's not too happy yet. As you can see, he's like a bit like, oh no. Well, then it's to Fisk where he's at a meeting with his like public relations advisors and that shit, who like telling him like what to do, how to act with the public and that, what to say, where to go, sort of thing. Well, anyway, he's talking to him and he's asking how good he's doing in the polls and that. Where this sort of like young dude sort of like says like Fisk, oh yeah, you you're like real good. Everyone is like he proper like brown noses him and that. But maybe he's a fan because he admires the way that Fisk gets things done and that. And so then Fisk, he's like takes that as a compliment because he's like, oh right, yeah. I guess people might not like what I do, but I get results, sort of thing. Well then, oh here we go, marriage nearly. Oh, so, Matt meets up with a woman who Foggy too said she needs a lawyer, and she told the woman that this dude he needs a psychiatrist. Well, anyway, Foggy sets him up on a date, and this is like another like 5 or 10 minutes. Well, not 10 minutes, but another 5 minutes. Oh, talk. Well, cut a long story short, and that they're like say, oh yeah, she's trying to play Cupid and that. Well, after their sort of like what you'd call a first date, because spoilers. Oh yeah, it's fucking the love romance sort of shit. Um, he goes back to talk to Foggy too, and says not to set him up with a date and that sort of thing. Where she's all, this is where it turns into sort of like desperate housewives or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, no, like you're good together and all that. Well, anyway, she asks him if he's gonna see her again, and he's like, no, but spoilers, he does and that, and like she can tell that he is gonna because then he asks for a number, so he can apologise and that. But like, well, because I tell you something, I don't know who is the writers on Daredevil Reborn, but it's probably not the same writers from the other Daredevils, or if it is, they've ploughed a few women in there to get a bit of a romance sort of love story going. Maybe they might pay off. Maybe it's just getting a love interest, so then Matt rather has to like fight harder, or he has to do something where you're like, oh yeah, yeah, we can see why he's going to do that now, sort of thing. And yeah, Foggy 2 says like, oh, your mates sort of like in there what want to talk to you, where he's got his detective mate who's sort of like doing investigations for him and that. And he says like, have you got anything on Fisk that would suggest that he's not going to be so much um, of a great mayor that like New York deserves, sort of thing. Well, the investigations don't pull up much. He's saying no, you can't really see anything that looks like Fisk is just doing it for own gains or whatever. So Matt thinks, well, maybe he does want to like just make New York great. We don't know, but he's like, well, uh, I'm I'm not thinking he will. So yeah, Matt's Matt's still got his suspicions, but that came up. So then it's where the scene where Matt goes to see Fisk and that, where he's just left the building of like where he's, I think his campaign's getting run and that. Well, anyway, he asks Fisk if him and Fisk will like go have a bit of a talk, sit down, cup of coffee or whatever, where Fisk agrees and that. So they go for a little chit chat and they go into a diner, which we'd call a cafe, but anyway. And then they talk about old times and that. And Fisk says he didn't have Foggy killed and that. So he's claiming that rather Bullseye was hired by someone else or acting on his own fruition. So, but he's definitely saying he did not have anything to do with Foggy's death and that. And then Fisk asks about Matt not being a vigilante because there wouldn't have been any like reports of like Daredevil kicking ass and that. So, he does know that Matt is Daredevil and that because season 3, I think it was, or 2, or all of them, like, yeah, finds out well. Matt, he's sort of like says like he lost a friend and that, and he nearly killed Bullseye and that, and so he's like, yeah, I don't want to be a vigilante no more, sort of thing. But Matt does tell Fisk though, if he finds out Fisk is being mayor for ill purposes and that, he will be Daredevil again and stop him. Where Fisk comes back with saying if he becomes mayor and that, and Matt becomes Daredevil, that because he is mayor, he can get like Daredevil or Matt prosecuted for being a vigilante or participant in vigilante activities or whatever, and that where then like it's one of them where Matt's on a second date sort of thing where he hears that Fisk has won the election and so he is like going to be the mayor in that, and he tells his date and that about it, and he's hearing other people and all, and like some of them are like saying, "Oh yeah, Fisk is great," and some of them are like, "Oh no, Fisk's kingpin is nothing but a like gangster and all this." Well, mixed sort of feelings, I think. Well, then it goes to where Fisk and his wife are on the top of the building, and after like a bit of a celebration with his sort of friends and colleagues and that, and he talks to his wife and that, and he says that he knows about some dude, and I'm thinking it must have been some dude who was shagging Mrs. Fisk when Mr. Fisk was away, sort of thing, because she's a bit concerned that Fisk is going to have him killed, but he's like, no, you're all right. I understand. So he's claiming he's mellowed out in his old age, sort of thing. Well, then it goes to the love story again. Even though both of it is turned into a love story with the main characters, it might be one of them where the birds have a fight at the end. Miss Mrs. Fisk and Mrs. Murdoch. Well, anyway, Matt and the bird have like a kiss and that, and she goes home, and that where Matt sort of like goes off walking back home and that, where then you see a sort of like Fisk looking down from the city. Now I don't know if they can see each other, but like it is one of them where it could be like where they just just looking at each other like, hey up, that Fisk up there. Oh, I don't look like Matt down there. Well, anyway, it ends sort of like with Matt just looking up and that, and he's using his daredevil vision and that. And so, yeah, even though it does look a bit weird that a blind man is looking around up. But anyway, that's sort of episode 1. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.